why the period coach? Why this business dealing with periods? So, myself included, most women I know have gone to the doctor and been given birth control as a solution to their problem or told that surgery was the solution. So it was always hormones or surgery were the only two options. And they're not very effective for a lot of things. They're effective in extremes for sure, but for the vast majority of women, they're not really even effective for what they're supposed to be doing. So how do you get in between that in between space? How do you help with not going straight to hormones or not going straight to surgery and forever altering your body? And hormonal therapy is dangerous. There's things that can go wrong. So as much as we're told, just take it, it's fine. There's no long-term studies. The information that we do have is very risky. There's a risk to it. So why not just fix it with food, lifestyle, these changes that can make a really big difference? And my own personal story is that very painful period that comes along with endometriosis. It's a week of extreme fatigue and brain fog. Every month before I got my period, I would break out into a cold sweat, turn pale and pasty white, and just collapse and black out. Sometimes I came too quickly, sometimes I didn't. I have a particularly vivid memory of hanging on to a subway pole in New York, trying to get home from Manhattan to Brooklyn, like, please don't let me pass out on the floor of this disgusting subway. So I know that extreme, really, where I was asking for hysterectomy, I was asking for the surgery after being on all sorts of experimental and regular birth controls. And narcotics, and none of it worked. So I know what it feels like to be in that extreme, but then those were the only two choices that I had, and I was young, and they don't really like to give hysterectomies to young women, and they don't even like to, make you infertile as a young woman. But nonetheless, I ended up having to fix it for myself. I, over the course of this time, started to realize I was just going to have to work with the pain and the being in endometriosis, of having 2 good weeks and 2 absolutely horrific weeks of the month. And that was just going to happen. So how was I going to make a living, not just pay the rent, but how was I going to pay the rent, especially in major cities, and save something, like someday have a retirement account? And, you get to a point where you just kind of have to go, well, I'm going to have to think outside the box on this one. And health coaching had just been invented. It was the very first year that there was an online health coaching program, the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, based in New York City. And then I jumped into it and figured at the very least I could spend those 2 weeks a month where the endometriosis is really horrific in bed. I could work from bed. Maybe I could not see clients during that time, but I could do the behind the scenes work during that time. But I'd just be able to work from bed. And then if I needed to take a big nap in the afternoon, I could, because it would be my own business. So I started off with this viewpoint of just how can I work around my period. And in that process, I started living in flow, right? I started living with my cycle rather than fighting it. I just figured, okay, well, if you can't beat them, join them. And here I'm going to figure out how to join them. In doing that, I started seeing women that had period problems. In seeing women that had period problems, I realized how easy they were to fix. So most period problems are actually really quite easy to fix with a little diet and lifestyle changing. So it was really just cool to see that and to know, okay, just because my extreme is hard and there's not really an easy answer, doesn't mean that I couldn't take away this for so many other women. Maybe not in the same extreme, but maybe. So I spent a lot of time reading, and I spent a lot of time researching, and I spent a lot of time talking to people, and I spent a lot of time just looking at stories and anecdotal information, which I know is not a double blind study, but that doesn't, especially 20 years ago, did not exist. So I worked with what was available and what I had. Maybe I could use this horrifying, painful, never ending thing that, I know it's going to come every month. I know it's going to happen every month. I brace for it every month. And use it to my advantage, use it to help other people, use my story so that others could have a better period. So yeah, I started working with women with hormonal imbalances, and at some point they just all happened to be in charge of their own businesses. And so we started experimenting with working with their business. So it was food, right? We were talking about how we could eat better for our cycles and for what was going on in each particular person. So, okay, this is your problem. Let's focus on these foods. Just trying to add things in that would be beneficial. And that was sometimes enough. Sometimes it was taking it a step further and talking about lifestyle things. Maybe it was not working out as much. I definitely had multiple clients where the prescription was stop working out so much. You need to rest. And some people it was okay. We need to walk and move, yin yoga, stretch, something. So just knowing that small combination could be over half of the problems. 90% of women will have a hormonal imbalance at some point in her life. So we're looking at 90% of women having a hormonal imbalance at some point, whether that's at the beginning of their cycles, fertility issues, PCOS, endo, PMS, PMDD, all of those things, perimenopausal issues, menopausal issues. So the whole span of your menstrual cycle, which is the majority of most of our lives, there's going to be a problem at some point. And it might be the entire time, it might just be a short time, but there's going to be a problem at some time. Knowing that the majority of those, over half of those, 90%, could be fixed with something as simple as making some shifts in what you're eating, adding a little bit of lifestyle change to it, and really just changing your mindset. Really, it's just about refocusing how you think of your period, of your cycle. So you're not so focused on it as an inconvenience or something to get over or just make through, but something to actually be engaged with, using, in sync with, observing, a real relationship of mutual respect, right? And the more we shift that mindset where it's an ally instead of an opponent, we have a already substantial decrease in symptoms and problems and negativity, and an increase in ease and quality of life. And every day, all month long, throughout the entire cycle, every single day of your menstruating years turns into something far more positive, comfortable. You know what's coming. You know how you're going to feel tomorrow. You no longer wake up feeling like, why am I feeling like this? You no longer have these mood swings or these moments of, why am I so angry? Or like, ooh, I just bit that person's head off. Ooh, wow, what is wrong with me? We're no longer second guessing ourselves, no longer second guessing our emotions, our responses. And we're no longer reacting. Life is no longer constant reaction mode where you're just constantly looking around and reacting to the things that are happening around you. Now you're actually being proactive. You know how you're going to feel. You set yourself up to be in that best place. You know, okay, I might be a little bitchy today, and I might have a shorter temper, and I might have just less to give today. And you know what? That's okay. But if you know that, you can have those conversations with the people that you love and care about, right? Like your primary relationships. It's just a matter of going, okay, guys, I'm getting close to that time where I just have a shorter fuse. And I'm aware of it. You're aware of it. It's a lot easier because then they don't go, oh my God, what just happened? Everyone's so much more aware, and awareness is empathy. and understanding and forgiveness and fixing it, right? The taboo prevents you from being able to have those conversations. The taboo makes it feel like if you're having emotions, you're doing something wrong, or if you're having reactions to things, that you're in some way, shape, or form at fault, failing because you're unable to control yourself and keep everything locked down. And that's the negative side of the patriarchy, right? That's the negative, that's that toxic masculine where you have to be able to perform at peak capacity all of the time, constant flow of motherly love, as well as fertility goddess, as well as CEO, as well as every other hat you wear, you know? So rather than having that reactive to what everyone else perceives you as being, just saying proactively, this is me today. And you know what it is, you know what's coming. And so it makes it so much easier just to live daily in flow. So I teach 3 systems, and this is the foundation of my school. So the Period Coaching School has 3 parts to it. And the foundational part of that pyramid is the sensual system. And this is just anyone who menstruates, who wants it to be more fun, more pleasurable, have some ritual in their lives, have some acknowledgement of their body, their cycle. You are having hormonal fluctuations every day. And you can either know what they're doing in your body and how they're affecting your brain, your behavior, your digestion. I mean, literally everything is affected. So you can either know what's going on and use it to your advantage, be prepared for what you want and for what you need and for what you're going to be craving, all of those good things, or you can constantly be in reaction mode. And I describe in my book the idea of your life. You are in a river. Your hormones are a river, and sometimes it's a raging river, and I think we all know that. We've all felt that. So we're in this river, and this river is not going to stop, and it's just going to flow. And you can doggy paddle in place, fighting against it. Maybe you make it upstream a little bit, but it's a lot of work, and you're constantly fighting off the flow. Or you can hop into an inner tube, grab a cocktail, or a tea in my case, and sit back and just flow with your flow, literally. And the inner tube is charting, and it's just the process of doing a daily body scan and taking some notes. I have a fan mandala that I give out for free because I'm so in, like, this matters so much to your just everyday life charting that I make it free forever for everybody. So you just start charting, and that's getting into the inner tube. That charting is your inner tube. And then from the inner tube, you can kick back and actually start relaxing, because now you're proactive and you're going with the flow. So you're just moving, and you're moving quickly and effortlessly. And that's it. The less effort you have to put in, the easier and quicker things happen in your life. And it might even feel like things aren't happening because you're not having to work so hard. And then you look back and go, wow, that was a crazy week. It just didn't feel like it. It felt really easy and really good. That's because you're using your hormonal zone of genius every day. And so the second part of my system is your business, your flow. And I want this in here because I want every woman who is out there with clients, bringing in money, having influence, having people who are following and listening to them, having this as part of your business. It's not something to shy away from. It's something that you're working with your clients with. I have male coaches who do relationship coaching who talk to their male clients about, okay, it's time to start working with your wife and her cycle and knowing what's coming up and helping. Right? It's a really beautiful way of being supportive in partnerships and relationships, whether it's 2 cycling people or just 1, but knowing and being able to help and support each other. It's just an everyday infusion, and the women who have businesses have this amazing capability to influence larger communities of people. This is another part of my vision of reaching more people. So I'm working with women who can then work with more women. This is kind of the only trickle down economics that works. We're going to talk to women who have communities, who have businesses, and then they're going to disseminate this information to their clients. So it doesn't matter what kind of business you have, doesn't matter who you work with. It's just good information to have. And if you're cycling, running your business with your cycle is going to make your business work far more efficiently. I want you to have more time. I want you to make more money. I want you to be able to make more money while working less. We spend, and it's not because I see women going, oh, you're only working 3 hours a week. That's great. Let's get you working even less. Not that I'm opposed to that, but by and large, the women that I see running businesses are running very high hour businesses, and I'm guilty of this myself. So I'm right there with you. We start these businesses out and we work 7 days a week and we work 12-hour days, and it's just insane. But I've done it. I know pretty much every woman that is in business does it, and usually we say, oh well, we'll start off like this and we'll have this crazy business hours thing for the first 3 years, and then we'll cut back and but then that doesn't happen, and we go, oh boy, I was thinking in 3 years I'd be at a higher profit margin by now, and I'm not, so I'm gonna work more, and then it just explodes, right? Burnout, chaos, just epic failure rates. And we need more women in business desperately, not less. So your business, your flow. Work with your cycle, put it together, let it help you, work less, do more, have a business that you can sustain, especially if it's challenging to bring that income in. Really take it to the next level and invest in moving your business forward in a way that is easier for you. And then we go to the very top and we're talking the period coaching school. And this is where I really want to fill that gap. So that gap between going to the doctor with a problem and coming out with a hormone or surgery answer. I want to fill that gap with period coaches. And then I want to fill even that place where it's not women going to their doctor, but just women who want to be more in touch with their cycle. And they want to jump in on this movement of menstrual awareness and just be rad, fully integrated women. Just learn for the sake of learning, right? We should have been taught this in school. We weren't. So you kind of have to put yourself back in school these days for the subjects we all missed. And this is one of them. So you kind of have to go, I need to go to school and actually learn that stuff. So I'd like to see women coming through this, and men as well, learning how to be a period coach. So now we're talking about people who will be focusing on things like, I'm going to be a PCOS coach, I'm going to be an endometriosis coach, I'm going to be a PMDD coach, I'm going to be a fertility coach, I'm going to be a not getting knocked up coach. I'm going to be a fertility awareness coach, but I really do hope one of my students takes that name someday and starts a business with that. But all of these different things so that we're filling that gap and we're helping women make more empowered choices that don't involve just going straight to hormones and surgery, but can stay in harmony. It's going to make a revolution. It's going to be a revolution for everybody. Men, woman, child, everything in between, every sliding scale, gender, sex, everything. It's going to make a positive impact on. And it's going to make, it's just going to make everything easier and better and more chill. And we can all have just a happier, healthier life. And at the end of the day, it's something that we're not going to get to that happier, healthier life if we don't acknowledge and bring it on board. Otherwise, we're still always going to be looking at us as menstruators as less than because we have a weakness, because we embody a taboo, and it's unacceptable because it's always going to leave the power dynamic with somebody who menstruates below somebody who does not, which is basically the patriarchy in our current society of men and women. So this is why I focus on this. This is what I'm good at. This is my zone of genius. This is the thing that I can do that will change the world and make it better for everyone. This is why we have the pyramid. And this is why we're starting with everybody. And then we're working our way to help spread it as far and fast and wide as I can in the life that I have left. However long that is. I hope to be 100 and still insisting on doing videos for people. I mean, we'll see what happens, but wouldn't that be great? And then we'll pass it down to the next person and let them take it forward into the next generation. So thank you for coming and being a part of this crazy little adventure jaunt. Peace out.